All right, here's example number 3. So given the circumference of circle K is 5 pi, segment MN is a diameter, segment QP is tangent, and arc QR is pi. Find the measure of angle PQR and the measure of angle MLN. So we want to read through this again, just being really careful because we're seeing pi show up twice, so just making sure we understand what that's representing. So if I say circumference, that's really our distance around. And then when I get to this is not the measure of, it's the arc length. So this is actually talking about a length. Being really careful about that, not talking radians. So if I actually label that on my circle, QR is pi. And automatically, because I know my circumference is 5 pi, I know that that major arc QNR has to be 4 pi. So since I'm thinking through that, I'm going to label it. It's a big circle. Okay, so that is 4 pi length. So if I'm trying to go from a length to an actual measure, so let's label the measure I'm looking for, the angle of PQR. All right, we are in luck because that is a tangent. We're given that information, and that's a secant. So now I know that the measure of angle PQR is going to be half that arc. QNR. But be careful, it's the measure, not half of 4 pi, because that's the length. So I have to use the length to actually find the measure. So if we remember, the measure, if I'm trying to find the arc length, which now I know is 4 pi, I take the measure of that divided by 360, because we're really talking about a part of a whole circle, times its circumference, which bonus they gave you. Okay. So if I actually solve this, and teachers do this different ways, I like to simplify first. And this is just my personal preference. You do you, times pi. If I do 360 divided by 5, just to reduce that fraction, I'm going to get 72. And then I actually will go and cross multiply. So times 4, I get 288 pi equals the measure of arc Q and R times pi, but those pi's are going to cancel out once I divide. So now I know the measure of the arc. The major arc Q and R is 288 degrees. So now when I go back up to that relationship, 1/2 of 288 is 144 degrees. So the measure of angle PQR is 144. Okay, so I've got that one done. And then they also asked for measure of angle MLN. MLN. That's also an inscribed. What's nice about this one though is if I look, it's making that diameter, which I know is 180 degrees. So half of 100 degrees, 90 degrees. And we learned that if we have that intersected arc being part of the diameter, that angle has to be 90 degrees or a right angle.